let's see if our friend Ngaio Bealum is a baseball fan, football fan, Giants fan, A's fan. Let's welcome him to the show. Ngaio. So nice.
Hello.
Are you a baseball person? Do you like
Yes, go Giants all day.
all day?
Bring back Candlestick Park.
Oh, I know. You know, it's funny. You mentioned Candlestick Park. Every time we drive past,
Yeah.
where it was, my husband always puts his hand over his heart because he's so very sad about
It
losing.
was a good time.
It was a great park, right?
But
But
listen, windy and cold and ridiculous, but also great.
it was great. Have you ever been to Levi's?
Drunkest I've ever been in my life.
Why do I have a hard time believing that? But I mean, the drunkest I've ever been at Candlestick. Probably not. It's a bit of a drive from my hometown of San Jose, so I don't think that. But
young me tried to go beer for beer with an Irishman.
That was not a good idea. Yeah, so let me check the score really quickly. The Giants up. The Yankees have scored again. It's now it's 0-0. So it's not a good time.
On the TV.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, these things happen. There's 161 games left, and also it's the 7th inning, so they could still come back.
They could indeed, absolutely. So go Giants! And where are the A's? The A's are in Southern California, I think today. I think I read that correctly. So we'll see what happens.
They play the Angels, I think, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
I never know if that's because, again, I'm not a baseball watcher. I watch football. So
Niners,
of course.
Okay.
Hello, there is no other Bay Area team.
I have 2 favorite football teams.
Okay.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
And whoever's playing the Cowboys.
Very true. Or, okay, well, I have a laundry list. I've ever rooted for the Raiders, so I'm always against them. I'm always against the Seattle Seahawks.
Why are you against the Raiders?
Oh, because I'm a Niner fan.
But
I am not one. No. I am not. Oh, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. You are either in my mind. I'm not even going to argue this with you. If you were a Raider fan, you cannot be if you were a Niner fan, you cannot be a Raider.
I don't root for the Raiders, but I don't root against the Raiders.
Oh, I do. I love it when they lose. I mean, now that they're in Vegas, it's not as fun, but I love it. I love it when they lose because I have such diehard Raider fans as friends. Sure.
Yeah.
So it's
my brother's a Raiders fan. We have a standing bet on a round of golf on which team finishes with the best record.
And the Niners, I mean,
far I've been golfing pretty free for the past few years.
Exactly. I mean, I have a lot of Raider fans that listen to this show, and they get mad at me when I say stuff like that. And Niner fans to hate the Raiders crack me up, but I love you, Nikki. Not even the same conference. It's not this. I understand the different conferences. I am just saying that I'm not one of those, I'm going to split my jersey down the middle and one side because I'm a Bay Area fan.
No, there's no toe dipping or wishy-washiness. You root for the Niners, but you don't have to root against the Raiders. What's good for the Raiders is good for Bay Area football is what I used to say. But I mean,
I think when the Raiders were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers years ago, in the Super Bowl. And I had one of my best friends, new boyfriends, was a huge. I don't think they were new, but she was with him, and he's a huge Raider fan. And so she started rooting for the Raiders, and I'm looking at her like, "Who the hell are you?" And she's like, "Well, I'm going to root for the Raiders because he is." And they lost. And I don't think I had felt so much joy in rooting against his team as I did in that moment that I still remember.
Were you a poor sport about it, Nikki?
I wasn't. I mean, I just was rooting for the Bucks and totally happy to see the Raiders not win. I am that kind of fan. I don't even apologize for it. That is just the way that I am. And if you're friends with me, you have to accept that. I'm sorry.
I understand. It happened.
See, Randy says, I'm a longtime A's fan. I'd never root for the Giants.
That's fine. You don't have to root against the Giants.
That's the fun part.
I Candlestick Park for the earthquake.
Were you?
Yeah. My mom used to work for Bob Lurie back when he owned the team, so we had pretty good seats, and it was a little scary. Everybody thought Candlestick was going to crumble into the sea.
Yeah.
So there's 5 seconds where we're like, whoa.
Yeah, that is. You hear people, because born and raised in the Bay Area, I know a lot of people that either were at the game or close by. And I mean, obviously it was a tragedy, but the stories that come out from people that were there and who they talked to and all sorts. That's crazy.
It could have been a worse tragedy if you think about, because it happened at 5 o'clock.
Oh,
so
yeah, like absolutely.
The dead of rush hour. And so if the Giants and the A's weren't playing in the World Series, there'd have been way more people on the freeways. But as it was, people were like in bars and at other places.
And watching TV and everything like that. Yeah. So, well, I'll say go A's. I'll go A's, go Giants, because I'm not a baseball fan. How about that? I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan.
Go Niners, go Sharks, go Warriors. We can all agree on the Dubs.
There you go. We can absolutely do that.
I'm going to call it right now. They're going to win the championship this year.
Who?
The Golden State Warriors.
They're not looking too good, Mo.
Bro.
I'm not a big basketball. I just went there and they won at the game that we were at with the 76ers. But
that was a good game too.
That was a good game. I was really, it's funny because I'm not a basketball fan, but my daughter was doing the halftime show because she's a cheerleader. And so her cheerleading crew was out there doing it. And so we got to do the pre-game shoot, go down and watch that, which was really cool. And then we went to the nosebleeds where our seats were.
Sure.
And I told my husband, and it's kind of scary in all honesty.
The race on these new stadiums is crazy.
My daughter
I don't even know how old people get to sit in the nosebleed seats. They can't even walk up there.
No, I think there has to be a special zone for those that can't watch. But yeah, I was going to leave the game. I was like, look, if they lose and it's bad, we have a long drive home to San Jose. We could bail early. But it was such a good game. I was like, we're not leaving at all. So it was awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
All right. Well, let's get into some headlines. All right. I want to get your take on, I don't want to, obviously what happened this week in Nashville is really, it's a tragedy. We talked about it a lot, obviously, since Monday. I want to show you this video though. Okay. And where is it? So there was some tense moments.
With Rep Bowman.
No, it was with Massey. Did you see the video with Massey?
Massey and was it Bowman?
Oh yeah, it was Bowman. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I was focusing on what Massey had to say. So let me show the video first, so people that are watching know what we're talking about. And I understand the passion. I want to say this first. I understand the passion of Bowman standing out there and yelling and screaming and doing all of these things. But I want you to listen to what Massey has to say, because I think that he may have misspoken. So here we go. Let me share the screen really quickly. And again, it might be hard to hear, so just listen kind of closely. All right, here we go.
Gun violence in a school that allows teachers to carry guns. You think more guns lead to more death? More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. Guns, states that have open carry laws have more deaths.
In every school that
have open carry laws have more deaths.
Never been a shooting.
Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah, calm down.
Calm down. Children are dying.
I know.
9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? Have you ever worked in a school?
All right. So that's basically, that's the debate back and forth is, are more guns the answer or fewer guns the answer?
More guns aren't the answer. Now, I used to have a bit in my act about how, since we're not going to regulate guns, we should just give everybody a gun starting in like 5th grade. And I mean, after the initial round of killings, we will have a smaller, more polite society. That's clearly not going to work. That's I was making it as a joke, but people on the Republican side are taking it seriously. Like, everybody should just have a gun. Everybody should just be strapped all the time. It should just be the freaking wild, wild west out here. And just, whatever. You get cut off in traffic, you get to shoot at a dude. Somebody gives you side eye when you're standing in line for a movie, you get to shoot at a dude.
That's what's happening.
This is not going to work. Americans don't know how to act sometimes. And it's a shame. And I don't think that getting rid of AR-15s is really abrogating, that's a fine word, or getting rid of people's rights to own a gun. And also, I feel like the biggest thing that people miss when they deal with the Second Amendment is the words well-regulated, a well-regulated militia. So these cats aren't well-regulated. It's not regulated pretty much at all. Anybody with mental illness or domestic violence issues or any sort of thing can go get a gun in a lot of these states. And it just seems rude. It's not polite.
No.
Uncivilized.
But the question of, what Massey was saying, in every school where teachers are allowed to be armed, there hasn't been a school shooting, isn't true. I mean, so I went to usconcealedcarry.com. So it's a pro concealed carry place. And Tennessee, I mean, obviously, most of them, you need permission from the school. They need to know that you're carrying a gun. In Tennessee, where they just had a school shooting, it even says only in private schools, which this was. Now, I don't know Covenant Schools gun policy or anything like that. You need still permission. But I'm looking at this list, and there have been school shootings in states that allow teachers to carry guns or other school personnel. So it's not, this argument is it's a falsehood, and he's spewing it.
Listen, they keep putting more police in schools, right? Well, they call them safety resource officers. Right, and aside from arresting 6-year-olds for minor offensive, they haven't stopped one school shooting, right? That's not what's going to stop school shooting. And this is the thing. We're out here treating symptoms, and we're not dealing with the disease, right?
Yep.
So you talk about alienation of people. You talk about mental health care. You talk about universal basic income. You talk about ways to help people. We love to spend the American government loves to spend billions of dollars figuring out ways to kill people. Look at our defense budget, right? How much money do we spend on helping people? Right. Exactly. Welfare is a minuscule amount of our budget. Education is a minuscule amount of our budget. Helping the homeless is a minuscule amount of the budget. And the way we do it is not effective. So like the Onion headline says, there's no way to stop this, says the country where the only country where this sort of thing regularly happens.
Exactly.
It's BS, and it's ridiculousness, and it's pandering. And it's rude. But here's the thing, like my years of activism, I've learned so many things about city councils and governments. And the biggest one is this: you can't expect common sense and science to carry the day, because I don't know how many times we used to show up with our charts and our figures and be like, cannabis legalization will help with this, and cannabis legalization is good for this, and it doesn't make any neighborhoods worse. In fact, it makes neighborhoods better because cannabis clubs really care about the community, blah, 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 blah. And they all go, oh man, these are all very well reasoned and super thought out arguments, and we agree with you on a lot of these points, and then they vote against you.
Right.
So.
And that has to be political. That has to be their own personal fear of the consequence of supporting logic, science, facts, common sense.
My thing is, me, sometimes you got to take the loss to do the right thing. So whatever, right? Yep. I mean, how many Democrats were unelected after they passed Obamacare? And yet Obamacare is one of the greatest legislations we've had in this country in years and years and years, right? And cats did it knowing that they were probably going to lose their next election for voting for it, and yet they still did the right thing. And sometimes that's what you have to do. And if you're a good politician, if you're a good Republican, you can always spin it. You can be like, listen, I don't want my kids in school to die. You can't just be homeschooling your kids all the time. And that's,
USA. Yes, I know. It's so hard. It's so hard. It is so hard to stay calm and to have rational conversations when and I know it's going to be the same conversation. Like that's what drives me nuts, is that I was saying on Monday and Tuesday, I could just pull the last school shooting show, air it, and people may not know the difference. Just the location is different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same crap all the time.
Every time.
And then look at this guy. So did you hear what Congressman Burchett said? He's from Tennessee, and he was like, "We're not going to fix it." Like he just doesn't care.
Didn't he say we're not going to do shit about it? No, we're just not going to.
You're like, we're not going to do it. And no, but now listen to this. He's on Fox because he's been getting a lot of attention because of it, of course.
Sure.
And this is his answer.
He was also the guy with the Christmas card with all his whole family carrying guns, right?
I think that was him. Was it him? Yeah, that was him.
Do that.
Okay, look at this guy. Here we go. Oh, play. There
As
we go.
I've stated, in this country, we're a sick nation. We are a sick nation. We need to repent, and honestly, we need a revival. It's made a lot of people mad that I've said that, but it really is. There's no other answer for it.
Why is it making people mad?
Like she doesn't know.
I think, they come back to me and say, Burchett, look what your prayers have done for us. And the people doing the praying aren't the ones doing the shooting, ma'am. And it's just a very unfortunate.
They're not?
Right? Like he knows that?
Because homeboy at that church, was it Georgia? When homeboy showed up at the church and prayed with everybody and then killed them?
And then, yeah.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. I believe that's a song.
And he's only talking about certain religions. He's not talking about all religions. He's not talking about all prayer.
I'm sure as soon as the Satanists show up and want to pray for an end to school violence, he'd have something to say about that.
Exactly. It has to be. I mean, and again, I always kind of tiptoe when we talk about religion and this sort of thing, because I do believe in God, but I also do believe that people manipulate their religion to make political points, and it's BS, so, and I hate it. And I hate that it's not called out enough. That's what pisses me off.
People get very thin skinned when you threaten some. These are deeply held beliefs, right? Cats have held on to these beliefs about God and Jesus for years and years and years. And there's nothing, I believe it was Gandhi who said something like, I really quite like your Christ. Your Christians are a little troublesome, though.
Yes, exactly.
Right? I mean, if we're spending our time trying to be like Jesus, then we should be feeding the poor, right? We should be foregoing our worldly possessions. What does it profit a man to gain the world if he loses his soul? You understand? Right? Yeah. We should be helping those less fortunate. We should be dealing with equity and equality. Jesus hung out with poor folks and sex workers and reprobates, right? Like, he was very upset about all the money making in the church. He's the guy who showed up and took whips to the moneylenders. So if you're trying to lead a Christian lifestyle, you need to start acting like a Christian, right? Turn the other cheek. Thou shalt not kill. These are all these sort of things that are in this book that they talk about all the time. And, actions. Yeah. Talk does not cook rice.
I love that you're bringing up kind of turn the other cheek, because there's another issue that caught my eye, and it's this question of, should we avoid or should we kind of do outreach? California's top Democrat, Tony Atkins, wants to repeal the state travel ban for government officials to go to these red states that have anti-LGBTQ policies. Instead, she wants to go out there and kind of do outreach and do the olive branch. What do you think about that? Because obviously, if we do state travel there, some people might say that's kind of a support of the policies or not a protest of the policies.
If you want to go to Florida or any of these weird ass states, and don't get it twisted, I love Miami. I got a lot of homies out in West Palm Beach. Shout out to Uncle Funny's Chuckle Hut in Plantation, Florida. Still one of my favorite clubs out there. As a private citizen, that's on you. But I don't think as a state we should be supporting these sort of things. It's antithetical to the California vision. You understand, right? California culture is supposed to be one, and this may be California coastal culture, because once you get to Bakersfield and Fresno, or up toward Plumas Lake, or out toward Redding, it gets a lot different. It gets a lot different. I've been all over the state. I've played all kinds of towns out here.
Get to south and you get to middle, and then there you go. It's a different California.
I mean, the same is true of Oregon or Washington or any of these other so-called liberal states. You know what I mean? Once you get to some of these places, it just gets a little funky, man. And that's how it is, and that's how people are. And while I understand outreaching and it is good. I mean, you always hear that story about the one guy who he's a black guy, and he would go out and make friends with Klan members, and slowly over years wear these cats down. That's great. I don't have the patience for that, and we don't have the time for that. You know what I mean? Right? It's not like, dog. I mean, listen. If I stopped dealing with racists, I would never have a career, right? It's pervasive. People do it. They don't even think about it sometimes. It's just one of those things. So a lot of times you put up with it, but a lot of times you got to call somebody out. You got to be like, hey, man, at least around me, you got to be different. You know what I mean? Yeah, right? And so it's tough. I think we need to go back to when being a racist and being an asshole was kind of something you did at home in your private time. And you didn't do it out in the street. You didn't run around acting like it was National Racist Day.
Yeah.
Right? You're supposed to be slightly ashamed of your racist views. And these
keep it
cats
in your
out
head.
here, yeah. Keep it in your head. We all have weird thoughts about. Everybody's a little xenophobic sometimes. Everybody has some prejudices and some cultural biases, right? We all have them about certain things, but you're supposed to keep that shit in your head. You're not supposed to be out here advocating for ridiculousness. It's un-American.
It is.
It's un-American. Superman will tell you all about it. Read the comic books from the 50s and 60s. Superman was breaking it down for everybody. Captain America will tell you all about it too.
There you go. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's one of those things where when you hear politicians saying, we don't want Californians in our state, we don't want that's un-American. It's this othering of people we need to just stop with.
Californians probably don't want to go to your state. You got weird laws and you don't have legal weed. So, I mean,
I love it.
How
long do I get to keep you? Can I keep you?
How long do you need me for? I got a few more minutes.
All right, let's do a couple more. Kim's going to do some news in a couple of minutes, but I had one more because you were bringing up cannabis. Only 4% of Napa tourists, this headline reads, are Black, except at this winery. So do you drink, are you a wine connoisseur along with your cannabis, or are you just strictly cannabis?
I'm a little fancy in my wine pants. My homies do a comedy wine tasting crawl in Napa that I performed at a couple times, and that's a good time. I love a good Tempranillo. I'm a fan. I like a bold, fruity red with a little hint of spice. And I'm down with a few Chardonnays. I like them a little fruity up front and not too woody in the back.
Yeah, I don't like too many tannins that in the back here. I don't like that. Have you ever had Brown Estate wine?
Who?
Brown Estate. It's largely devoted to Black wine lovers. It's in Napa County. I guess it started around. It wasn't even on social media until 2015. That was when that wine train kicked out a bunch of Black women for laughing on the train. Or you remember?
I remember that. Yeah. Don't be a little drunk and have fun on a wine train, everybody. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So Brown Estate, it's on Coombs Street in Napa, and apparently they're doing some really good business by targeting, Black people that love their wine like you do, Ngaio.
My brother loves his wine. I mean, I'm mostly a stoner, but I'll definitely have a glass of wine with a nice dinner or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Or cake.
Yeah.
Or a nice chicken dish. I like to read the wine list when I'm at the fancy restaurant and be I know
what I'm talking about and looking at. Yeah, sure. I swirl it around.
I know a little bit. I can look at the legs. I took a class. You sniff it from top to bottom, and then you just start making up things. Oh, cherries and feces, or whatever. Yeah. You can actually say feces. It's a tasting note. You can be like, it's earthy.
It's earthy. It smells like food. Earthy. There you go. Well, check it out. Anybody that likes their wines and up to Napa regularly, Brown Estate is it. Now, last thing before I get to the news, I let you go. I was on Twitter today, and there was a thread going around about movies people hate that other people loved.
Yeah.
And it started with Forrest Gump. Oh. And you added to it, and you said
Forrest Gump is terrible.
And you said Heat. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, did you mean Forrest Gump 2 or just Heat? How could you?
Both of those movies are objectively bad.
You are terrible. Forrest Gump is a great movie.
Wrong. Forrest Gump is manipulative. It's worse than Pixar. It's trying. At least Pixar manipulates your emotions like a true Pisces or a Cancer, where they just really, you can't tell that they're manipulating you, and then all of a sudden you're ugly crying in front of strangers on an airplane because you're watching Coco. That's different. That's different. Forrest Gump is so shamefully trying for an Oscar. Everybody is acting with a capital A, and it's too much. It's not organic. It's not natural. It's clearly designed for we're gonna win Best Picture, and they're all working toward that, as opposed to we're gonna make a picture that's really great and beautiful and lovely. And it's got some funny parts, sorry for ruining your Black Panther party, and the scene in the rain and all that stuff. And the scene where Bubba's explaining all the different kinds of shrimp. Right. It's got moments, but overall and objectively, it's not a great movie. And also in the book, Forrest Gump himself was kind of chubby. Right?
You wanted him to be chubby?
He wasn't Tom Hanks. Listen, chubby. I understand that movie universes are different than book universes. Me and my daughter used to argue that about Harry Potter all the time, right? And I try to explain to people all the time, the book universe is going to be different than the movie universe. But Hollywood can't help it. They think that Daryl Hannah in glasses is ugly, right? They had back when they did. Oh, what was the movie? It was the Hotel New Hampshire. When you read the book from John Irving, the Susie the Bear in the book is physically ugly. That's one of the things that they describe her as. She's just an ugly outside. In her heart, she's beautiful, but outside, objectively, according to European beauty standards, she's an ugly woman. So they cast Natasha Kinski and tousled her hair.
Well, it's because it's a movie and not a book.
Yeah, you can still cast ugly people in movies. Watch The Killing. There's still movies where people look like people, right?
Yeah,
and you know, who's to say? It's not like I'm Idris Elba or whatever. You know, I'm kind of sexy. I got my own vibe.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's a thing. It's a thing.
I didn't know this though. Forrest Gump is the reason Shawshank Redemption went without an award. That was just wrong. Shawshank Redemption, I will say, hands down, one of the best movies in my opinion. Way better than
Pulp Fiction also came out that year.
Did it?
Maybe not the best movie, but better than Forrest Gump.
Yeah, and I've watched Pulp Fiction a lot more than I've watched Forrest Gump, mainly because Forrest Gump is too damn long, and I just have a thing with too long of movies. Although this past weekend, a movie I watched, American Gangster with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe.
That's a pretty good movie.
I watched the unrated because it made it even longer, but it was totally worth it. That is a brutal movie. Denzel Washington's a badass.
John Wick 4 is out in theaters now, and it's 2 hours and 49 minutes long.
I'm not watching that movie.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be.
You're gonna go?
Oh yeah. Oh
Wear
yeah.
the diaper and just go.
I can't get the large soda.
There you go.
I'm gonna have a very small soda. And we'll just have to chew gum to deal with the cotton mouth. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna be high as hell because it's John Wick. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to take an edible because you want that high to last up to the.
It's gonna have to.
Ball. Yeah.
All right. He is Ngaio Bealum. Thank you so much. In the show notes is a link to his podcast, Chopping It Up with Ngaio.
Thank you so very much.
I love having you on. We'll talk again next week.
Don't buy fentanyl from cops.
Well, please don't. Especially, don't buy fentanyl, period.